thank you for being here. I appreciate it. We want to give you an update. No, this is not the preliminary report that we're still waiting on and hoping to get, but we do have some things that we are doing and continuing to do that we wanted to make sure you are aware of. I have with me Jimmy Early with DCIT, Marcia Adams with the Budget and Control Board, and then you also know that we have Pat, our Inspector General, as well, that is going to be here to answer any of your questions as we have that. Calls to date. Our calls to date are 775,495. Our activations are 789,554. And the average wait time is down to 6.2 minutes. So we're seeing about 10 to 15,000 move up every day. I apologize, I don't have the business numbers on here. What we are doing today is I am issuing an executive order that will require all cabinet agencies to be monitored and to comply with DCIT. This is going to have two components to it. One is going to be, we are going to have 24/7 monitoring by a person, which will basically allow the agencies that aren't involved with DCIT to have someone on standby 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that if they see any suspicious activity, if they see anything that is wrong, that they are able to move in immediately and do something about it. That's the first part of the executive order. The second part of the executive order is we are buying a piece of equipment that the second that any of my cabinet agencies see that files are being moved that should not be moved, it immediately shuts the computer down. It immediately stops it before it can happen. So those are the two big things we're going to do. It does require that we will get 4 FTEs to work with DCIT to make sure this happens. It also requires buying a piece of equipment, but the costs that are involved are going to be shared by DCIT, by the agencies that are involved that are going to have to comply with DCIT that aren't right now, as well as Homeland Security money from SLED. And so with that, I think I will answer any questions, and then certainly you can have more detailed questions I'll let the rest of these guys ask.
What is DCIT again? I'm sorry.
Okay, DCIT is the computer system that the state has for security monitoring. So it's the one that everybody's been talking about. What we've had is agencies, I'll go back to this again. When we talked about the Department of Administration, we talked about putting all IT services under one umbrella. And the reason that I wanted that was because they would all talk to each other. And the reason I wanted that is because they would all be consistently monitored. What we have right now is agencies all using the program that they think is best for their agency. We have DCIT, which is Jimmy, if you want to explain, it's a monitoring service that I am now saying on top of what they already have, I want them to use DCIT as well to make sure that we are adding another layer of security on top of that.
How much does that equipment cost and when will it be in place?
Okay, the equipment is being purchased right away. So we are looking to do this as soon as we can. The equipment is going to cost $160,000. And that is what's going to be paid for by Homeland Security money.
What's the timeline for getting all of that in place and having this service up and running?
I don't want to give you a hard deadline, but what we are pushing for is a 60-day deadline to have all of our agencies aware. The agencies that aren't currently involved in that will see this will be SLED, DEW, HHS, DOT, and DPS. Well, let's keep in mind the hand that we are getting will actually shut the system down the second files are being moved, which is, I think, very important. DCIT, I'll let Jimmy talk to you about what that'll do that's in addition to.
Good afternoon. The monitoring services we're going to provide to the cabinet agencies will allow us to do several different things. Number one, we'll be able to monitor network events. An event would be defined as a virus or a piece of malware being downloaded to a PC. As the governor said, we'll also be able to monitor network traffic. So we'll be able to, over a period of time, we'll be able to baseline traffic and establish patterns, normal patterns for traffic, so that we can later identify differences of abnormal patterns in regard to that baseline, so that we could see a potential attack and recognize a potential attack. We'll also be able to, again, as the governor said, be able to intercede in real time and prevent either software from being downloaded to a PC that's symptomatic of a virus or malware being downloaded, or prevent data from leaving the network. We can actually block that in real time. The real benefit from providing this service across the cabinet agencies is that we can collect data and establish trends and see patterns and see common weaknesses across the agencies that we can help the agencies react to and improve their security posture.
And you came from DMV.
I did come from DMV.
And DMV already does some of this, correct?
DMV does some of this correct already. The one thing I'd like to stress is it'll be important for DCIT to work closely with the agencies. As the governor said, when we do see an event or a traffic pattern that looks suspicious, we'll have to reach out to the agencies and work closely with them to identify exactly what's going on, and also to take steps with the agencies to investigate a particular event and intercede and try to remediate the event and clean the machine if we need to do that.
You said it would shut the system down. Describe what that means. Does that mean everybody's computers are going to
No, typically what you would see is a piece of a virus or a piece of code or malware being downloaded to a specific workstation on a PC, a specific computer, maybe someone's desktop computer, maybe a server, and you would be able to reach out and stop traffic to that individual machine.
And then and the 24/7 monitoring can watch that, but then the hand, what that's going to be able to do is if files are being moved that we don't see, it just shuts them down so that no files get moved. And that's another big part of it. It's not only do you have eyes on it, but you have a piece of equipment that can see when files are being moved that are irregular in nature and absolutely shuts that system down immediately and alerts
Correct.
them so that they can go ahead and do something about it.
But typically, again, you're stopping a flow of data to a workstation or a PC. So the one individual may be inconvenienced while you grab their PC and try to take remediation steps. So, typically you won't involve shutting down an entire network or an entire system. No. I do want to come back to one question. It is important to point out that there is no silver bullet for cybersecurity, and the monitoring service in and of itself is not a comprehensive solution, but it is an important tool that we have, and it allows us to do something very important, which is to watch our networks and recognize what's going on inside of our systems.
Would a monitoring system like this have spotted the upload from DOR?
There's no guarantee that if we had been closely monitoring the agency's entire network that we would have seen this. The attackers are so advanced and so persistent today, you can't guarantee that.
So wouldn't it be likely, since downloading or uploading, whichever way you call it, over 4 million files would take a while?
It's certainly possible. And it's certainly possible that you would have seen activity, but that's a little different than actually preventing the breach that could result.
But if it stops big downloads, wouldn't the hand stop?
The goal is to be able to identify.
The hand is a separate piece of equipment unrelated to DCIT. So DCIT is doing the 24/7 monitoring. The hand is something that's being purchased separately as an added layer to DCIT to do that.
And the hand would likely have prevented this if it had been in place?
But the hand is not part of DCIT, yes. And I don't know that it would have prevented it. Let me be clear. Everyone has told me that there is no way to say that this could have been prevented. What my goal is, how many layers can we put on top of it to make it incredibly hard for these people to get into our systems?
Governor, did the state pay any kind of a ransom, or was the state offered a ransom?
You'd have to ask Chief Keel about that.
Have we heard of any IDs that have been stolen through this yet?
When we get that preliminary report, we have been on them again, and again, I really want to get this to you this week. One, because I told you that. Two, because it will allow us to put it behind us. As of today, they still weren't ready to give it, so I'm kind of at their mercy, as you are kind of at that mercy, but as soon as we know, we will know that information for you.
24/7, is that what DCIT already offered for those agencies that wanted it? And if not, how many more votes do we need?
24/7 is going to be a new layer that is not part of DCIT at all. That is something I'm adding so that what I have learned is these international hackers are not going to do this from 9 to 5. They are going to do this in the hours when nobody's in the office. We need somebody in the office 24 hours a day monitoring those computers to make sure that the second they see an intrusion, they can stop it. This is going to require DCIT to have 4 more FTEs, and that will be split. The cost of that will be split among the agencies that are going to be coming online, and they have all agreed to take that on.
Just to make it clear that that's to run the Mandiant program, the hand program, for additional.
No, now the hand and the 24/7 are different. So the 24/7 is a person standing there. If they go and they see some suspicious thing coming into the computer, they're immediately going to be able to touch this, contact DSIT, and say something's wrong. The hand, if it starts to see big bulks of files moving over or files that should not be touched moving over, it shuts the computer down and contacts DSIT. So this is kind of coming at it at two different approaches on opposite sides, saying that we are going to do everything we can to make this incredibly hard for any sort of attacker to come in.
How does the hand and 24/7 fit in with what Inspector General Maley has suggested, which is a statewide comprehensive InfoSec system? Experts, money, tell me about that.
This executive order is in addition to what I already did with the Inspector General. So what I asked the Inspector General to do through that executive order was go into every agency and let's see what vulnerabilities we have to outside attacks. Go into every agency and see what we could do better. This is a totally separate executive order from a cyber plan. And I'll allow Pat to talk about anything from the Inspector General side, just on what you've done with the agencies and what they've.
I just comment on that. What they're doing here is a short-term tactical solution to give immediate comfort and reassurance information safe. My main role is to look at the information security across all state agencies, looking for number one, how are we doing, where are our weaknesses, and develop a process so that we have long-term health in our information security, so that it's not a one-time fix and that we can actually have a reoccurring sustainable process so that we can solve this problem and have a high level of security from this point forward. But you know, one of our challenges is, as we try to understand the information security issues in agencies, it takes a lot of detailed work. And I'm going to give the public assurance that every state agency has information security programs. They all have them. One of our challenges is we just don't have a standard model across the entire state, which immediately opens the question to, if you don't have a standard model, some of these agencies are going to be high, some are going to be medium, some are going to be low. And so the very first part is, hey, let's, as a state, come up with where is our security thresholds, what are our policies? And once we establish them, now we can start moving forward in a long-term sustainable process as to, these are the standards that we're going to go by, this is what my agency looks like, find where we deviate and fix them.
And you will hear me say also that consistency matters. And having all of those agencies under one umbrella with consistency like this matters. This, keep in mind, it's very important, this does not affect all agencies because I don't have that authority. This affects my cabinet agencies only. We have reached out, do we know of the other agencies that are going to do it or not yet? We have encouraged all other agencies to do this because I think it's that important. But again, this is only applying to my cabinet agencies. This is very much like the executive order I did for the Inspector General last year, encouraging the legislature to see the importance of a statewide ability to have an Inspector General. This is me also encouraging the legislature to realize why it was important to have all the IT services under one umbrella so we can be consistent across the board.
Governor, DEC took down their website after the breach, and it's still down as of a few minutes ago. Had they told you about what their goal was with that plan, and do you think it's the right step?
I think they're doing just regular maintenance or monitoring as far as I know, and from what I understand it's coming back up today. That's really a Catherine Templeton question.
Could I ask for just your free monitoring service that you're offering agencies before, have you gotten any more agencies come on board since the hacking was disclosed?
I don't believe any new agencies have been brought on board since the
I'm
event.
making them go on board.
Yeah, several agencies have expressed interest, and we are looking and planning with agencies, but I don't think we've brought any new agencies on board yet.
Okay, so what you're going to have for, let me see if I can get you some good numbers here. Every agency, in order to start doing work with DSIT, among the 5 agencies, SLED, DEW, HHS, DOT, DPS, SLED will have to pay $87,835, and all of the others will pay $101,335. So they have all agreed to take that on out of their budgets in order to comply with the executive order to do DSIT. The hand, that piece of equipment, is $160,300. That is being paid for with Homeland Security money through SLED. The FTEs that we are getting are being split among all the agencies at $12,998. $12,998 per agency to pay for the FTEs that need to go in to help DSIT do this.
How long is the contract for hand?
It's a piece of equipment. So once you buy the equipment, you buy it and then you pay fees afterwards. Ted, do we know how much the fees are for the hand?
No,
I-
we can follow up.
Yeah, I can follow up with you. I don't know exactly how much the fees are, but there's like a fee, but the equipment's the biggest part of it. Once you have the equipment, it goes. It's just that annual fee that you pay.
So you mentioned that was sort of a stopgap, but do you see it as a long term?
Yeah, absolutely. So while it bothers me that this happened at times that nobody would have been in the office, which is the reason I want the person 24/7, but it also is an added thing of when you see a massive file being moved, yes, I may have a person there that sees some irregularities, but that is foolproof that when something weird is being moved, that hand just shuts down that computer. And that is hugely important, making sure that when information that we don't want getting out, there's no delay in stopping that from going anywhere. Yes.
Tell us which company you're buying this piece of equipment, the state's buying this equipment from?
The hand, I believe the hand is being bought from Mandiant.
Correct.
It's through Mandiant.
Yes.
The Mandiant system already will look for uploads, downloads, and will shut down the computer. Why do you need for people also to monitor or to be on hand as well if you already have this program?
Okay, so one more time, keep in mind that Mandiant can do the hand, which is just about transfers in and out. This attacker, the way this attacker would have come in, or the way we think it would have come in, would have been through one workstation. A person that's watching it 24/7 would have seen the fact that something odd just happened in that computer. No files may have been moved, but could see it. If it is 3 o'clock in the morning, that person can literally shut down that workstation and they could deal with it the next day. We didn't have that before. So these are two things we didn't have before that I think will help us as we continue to go
Do we know
forward.
what time the hacking actually occurred? Do we know that it was actually during off hours?
That'll probably be in the report that we come out with. We do know that if it's international, I don't want to sit there and give out to them, oh, we're only going to be secure from 9 to 5, and have them know that from 5 until 8 they can have at it.
If the hand is increased to all agencies, would there be additional costs?
The hand covers all of my cabinet agencies.
No, I'm talking about beyond the cabinet.
There may be the technology works on a license fee. So the technology we're buying allows us to cover up to 100,000 nodes or computers. So conceivably, if other agencies join and we exceed that number, we may have to buy more licenses, for lack of a better term, to extend that coverage.
Can you tell us much about, we heard something that maybe some of these files may have been on the black market scene?
No, all we know is what we told you, which was there was a breach. We still don't know the information. Again, we're hoping to get that through the preliminary report.
Will this be the last piece of equipment the state needs to buy? Do you foresee purchasing other equipment?
What I'll tell you is if you think back to Hugo, it wasn't until Hugo that we brought in an EMD and emergency situations on how to deal with it. This is my way of dealing with my Hugo, which is once it happens, it's an eye-opener that this could happen. But our job is, what are you going to do to make sure that my successor, it has more involved than I did. I came in and you assume that everything is okay, and then when something goes wrong, that's when you notice it. What we are doing now is making sure that after me, we've done all that we can, but I would hope, this is much like any policy you do, you always keep looking at it and always keep saying, are we doing enough? Because what I do think is, these attackers are very creative, and as we start to put up stopgaps, they're going to keep getting more creative. I think it would be important for us to look at this annually and just make sure we're protecting ourselves as much as we can. I plan on making this a huge part of a cyber plan that every other state should look at, because every other state is just as susceptible to this.
Do we know if churches and nonprofits were in that class of businesses who were compromised?
I don't know.
Any ideas when that report will be released?
Well, we talked to them today, and now they're trying to delay putting it off again. We have been pushing them. What I had hoped was to have this for you tomorrow. They say that's unlikely. Whether we're talking about Friday or Monday, we're close. They keep saying 95%, 95% done. I don't know what's in that 5%, but we're not sure yet.
When you say them, do you mean the Secret Service? Are they still involved?
Mandiant. So Mandiant is the forensics company that is coming in and literally going through the data to see exactly what was breached. Oh, I mean, this was a massive file that was taken. I mean, I'm not going to push them to come out with a report that's not complete. We don't want to push them to come out with a report that's complete. As fast as I want to know the information, I want to know when they give it to me it's right. I don't want to come back to you and say it wasn't. So what I understand is they are going through another big file or a big block, and it takes a lot of time to go through and see exactly what was involved in that file. So I don't think they're stalling by any means. I think they're trying to make sure they get it right when they give it to us. From what I understand, it's just part of the process of them opening it up.
Governor, with the new safeguards you put in place now, PAN and other things, what about employee training and making sure that the employees are aware of opening doors or clicking on emails and things of that nature to make sure that education is going to be there so this doesn't happen again, do some backdoor means?
I certainly think employee training and you know, the one role DSIT has played in the past and will continue to play is to try to increase just awareness of cybersecurity issues and challenges, trends and techniques. We host a yearly conference where we invite cybersecurity experts from around the country to speak, and we have recently offered some training, cybersecurity training to state employees. So we'll continue to do that because it is. Cybersecurity is a business problem. It's not just a technology problem. So we'll continue to try to raise awareness and offer training so that everyone is fully aware of their role in security.
Jimmy, is it accurate that TrustWave was not, basically you could have used a decent security in addition to TrustWave at revenue, correct?
I'm afraid I can't comment on TrustWave and their role at DOR. I don't have any insight into that, or what their role was or what their contract was, so you'd have to ask DOR.
DSIT is involved with DOR now.
Yes.
And DSIT actually does have the hand now. And DSIT does DSIT have the, DOR, I'm sorry, have the 24/7 now?
Not today.
Okay, but they do have the hand
we will be able to do
now.
that.
So,
Right.
and we're gonna get that we're trying to hit as quickly as
Can
we
you
can.
talk a little bit about what DSIT's involvement was at revenue prior to the breach? Because I know some of their systems were
Sure.
monitored.
Yeah, we did not have full insight into their entire network before the breach. The Department of Revenue over the last year or so has relocated some of its employees and some of its equipment. You know, as early as 2 years ago, I think they were all at Gervais Street, all the employees and their equipment. They've recently moved some employees out to Outlet Point and some of their equipment down to DSIT. So we really lost visibility into their entire network. So we only had a small part of their network under monitoring services at the time of the breach, and that was basically the workstations at the Gervais Street location.
What year did that happen, that they moved out?
A little more than a year ago, I believe. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Whose responsibility was it to coordinate that to make sure that the monitoring was in place even with the moves that were going on?
We offer services and market services to all the agencies. So that's the decision DOR made, and you would have to ask DOR about that.
Can you tell us why Mr. Etter was given a pay raise after his partner not facing these types of problems?
That is a salary commission that comes together that analyzes salaries every 3 years on what the industry standard is. It's not based on person as much as, from what I understand, it's not based on person. It's based on stats from around the country and what the right rate is. So that commission, you'd have to talk to them about it, but that's how they went about doing that. Okay, any other questions besides DSIT?
You said the hand is already in place
At DOR, am I right? Yes. The second that we knew this happened, we bought the equipment for DOR. That is where, because keep in mind, the second that October 10th or whenever we found out and Mandiant came in, the hand was put in immediately because we wanted to make sure there was no, remember when I said the hole was blocked? That was part of what we had to do to make sure that we plugged the hole. And so what we did was made sure that nobody else could move batches of files after that. So the hand went there first. That was the very first thing we did. And then that's when Mandiant went in and did the forensics.
Are there other agencies that have the hand right now, Jimmy?
That's what we're buying right now. That's what we're requiring all my other cabinet agencies to do. All right, any questions other than DSIT?
On another topic, a lot of states, a lot of people put up petitions talking about secession. What's your opinion on the idea of secession?
Didn't we try that once before? I love this country. I'm going to fight for this country. I'm going to do everything I can for this country, and this country is going to be great. Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Have a good day. Thank you.